A voice of truth in a time of deception, Aleksandr Solzhenitsyn stands as one of the most significant figures of the 20th century. His fiery pen, wielded with the precision of a master craftsman, unveiled the harsh realities of life in the Soviet Union. The world was his audience, and his words were a clarion call, challenging the oppressive regime that sought to silence him. A man of letters, Solzhenitsyn's literary contributions are as monumental as the man himself. His works, like the Gulag Archipelago and One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich, brought the grim world of Soviet labor camps into the global consciousness, earning him the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1970. But Solzhenitsyn was more than a writer. He was a beacon of hope, a critic who dared to stand against the tide of authority. Born into a Russia on the brink of revolution, Solzhenitsyn's life would mirror the tumultuous history of his homeland. On December 11, 1918, Solzhenitsyn entered a world in turmoil, a Russia gripped by civil war. The humble city of Rostov-on-Don was his cradle, and it was here that the seeds of his intellect were sown. He was a curious child, drawn to the mysteries of numbers and the enchantment of words. In the pursuit of knowledge, young Alexander found himself at Rostov State University, delving into the realm of mathematics. Yet even as he mastered theorems and equations, his heart held a special place for literature. He was captivated by the power of prose and the allure of poetry, a passion that would later define his life. As he walked the corridors of academia, the world outside was changing rapidly. The rumblings of war echoed in the distance, and as the storm of World War II approached, Solzhenitsyn was called to serve his country, a decision that would forever alter the course of his life. As a decorated commander in the Red Army, Solzhenitsyn's life took a dramatic turn when he was arrested for writing derogatory comments about Joseph Stalin. This arrest in February of 1945 marked the beginning of an 8-year sentence in the infamous gulags, the Soviet Union's brutal labor camps. In the harsh Siberian wilderness, Solzhenitsyn toiled day in and day out. The icy winds, backbreaking work, and constant fear of death became his new reality. But amidst the bleakness, Solzhenitsyn found a glimmer of humanity. Despite their circumstances, he saw how the prisoners banded together, shared stories, and found ways to keep their spirits alive. It was in this crucible of suffering that Solzhenitsyn's literary voice began to take shape. He started to document the stories of his fellow prisoners, their struggles, their hopes, and their dreams. These narratives would later form the backbone of his acclaimed works, giving voice to the silenced and forgotten. However, his trials were far from over. In 1947, Solzhenitsyn was diagnosed with cancer. This might have been a death sentence for many, but Solzhenitsyn faced it with the same resilience he'd shown in the gulags. He battled the disease, drawing on his inner strength and the support of his fellow prisoners. His experiences would later inspire his semi-autobiographical novel, Cancer Ward, a poignant exploration of the human spirit in the face of adversity. His time in the gulags and his battle with cancer left an indelible mark on Solzhenitsyn. It transformed him from a loyal soldier into a staunch critic of the Soviet regime. His experiences fueled his conviction that totalitarianism in any form was a grave threat to human dignity and freedom. Surviving the gulags and a battle with cancer, Solzhenitsyn emerged not broken but with a newfound purpose. His ordeal had not crushed him. Instead, it had forged him into a powerful voice for the oppressed, a voice that would echo across the world and through the ages. Solzhenitsyn's experiences fueled his literary pursuits, leading to works that would shake the foundations of the Soviet Union. Emerging from the depths of the Gulag, Solzhenitsyn turned his ordeals into powerful narratives. His first major work, One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich, was a stark revelation of the brutalities of the Soviet labor camp system. Through the lens of a single day in the life of an ordinary prisoner, Solzhenitsyn unveiled the harsh realities of life in the Gulag, a truth hitherto hidden from the world. Next came the Gulag Archipelago, a monumental work that chronicled the history and horrors of the Soviet prison camp system. Drawing on his own experiences and the testimonies of over 200 fellow prisoners, Solzhenitsyn's magnum opus laid bare the machinery of state repression in chilling detail. This book would become a beacon of truth, a testament to the indomitable spirit of those who suffered under the Soviet regime. Cancer Ward, another significant work, was a semi-autobiographical novel that compared the Soviet state to a malignant tumor. Solzhenitsyn used the metaphor of a cancer ward to explore the moral decay and corruption inherent in the Soviet system. But Solzhenitsyn's unflinching critique of the Soviet Union was not without consequence. His work was a threat to the state, and the Soviet authorities responded with censorship and persecution. The Gulag Archipelago was deemed so dangerous that it was published abroad, and possession of it in the Soviet Union was a criminal offense. Solzhenitsyn was labeled a traitor, stripped of his citizenship, and in 1974 he was expelled from the Soviet Union. Considered a threat by the very system he critiqued, Solzhenitsyn was forced into exile. But his voice could not be silenced. Despite the Soviet Union's best efforts to suppress his work, Solzhenitsyn's writings continued to resonate around the world, exposing the grim realities of life under a totalitarian regime and inspiring countless others to speak out against injustice. In exile, Solzhenitsyn continued to write, his words resonating far beyond the borders of his homeland. The rolling hills of Vermont, USA, became his sanctuary. From this quiet corner of the world, Solzhenitsyn penned some of his most potent critiques, not just of the Soviet regime, but also of the Western world he now called home. His stay in the United States was marked by a profound sense of isolation. He critiqued both the Soviet Union for its oppressive regime and the West for its moral decay and materialism. This dual critique made him a controversial figure, often misunderstood, yet his words echoed with an undeniable truth. In the heart of the American landscape, Solzhenitsyn found fertile ground for his thoughts. He continued to write with the same intensity and dedication as before, his words reaching out to millions across the globe, unafraid to challenge both East and West. With the fall of the Soviet Union in the early 90s, the tides of history turned. Solzhenitsyn, the outspoken critic and dissident, returned to his homeland. His return was marked by a sense of victory, not just for him, but for the power of truth and the written word. His journey back to Russia was symbolic of the triumph of the human spirit over oppressive regimes. Solzhenitsyn lived out the rest of his days in Russia, his pen never ceasing, his voice never faltering. His life was a testament to the power of truth, the resilience of the human spirit, and the enduring might of the written word. Aleksandr Solzhenitsyn passed away on August 3, 2008, but his legacy continues to inspire and challenge us to confront the truth, no matter the cost. Solzhenitsyn's writings transcended borders, bringing the harsh realities of the Soviet regime to a global audience. His vivid descriptions of the Gulag system, his unflinching critique of totalitarianism, and his passionate defense of human dignity resonated with readers across continents. His works, such as One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich and the Gulag Archipelago, became symbols of resistance and hope, inspiring dissidents and activists worldwide. In the aftermath of his exile, Solzhenitsyn's influence only grew. His writings continue to serve as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the enduring strength of the human spirit. His works have been translated into dozens of languages, studied in universities, and discussed in countless forums, underscoring their enduring relevance. Generations of writers, thinkers, and activists have drawn inspiration from Solzhenitsyn's courage and conviction. His legacy continues to shape our understanding of totalitarian regimes and our commitment to human freedom. In the words of Solzhenitsyn himself, one word of truth outweighs the world. His life and works stand as a testament to the power of truth in the face of oppression.